going on, everyone? Chris with Journals, Comics, and Pop Culture. This is our top 10 hottest selling comics of the week, our weekly video series brought to you by PopCultureZone.com. Before we get into this week's top 10 books, don't forget to check out PopCultureZone.com's. Their links are below. Check them out if you're interested in getting your hands on some awesome exclusive and incentive variants at affordable costs, CGC slabs, and of course all different kinds of pop culture items, including toys and statues. And if you're buying raw books, they ship at a flat rate fee of only $4.99. Pop Culture Zone is also on eBay, where they still hold a 100% customer feedback rating with over 8,000 ratings this year alone. Those links are below. Check them out and make sure you follow them on eBay as well.
What we do here is unlike anybody else that talks about top 10 lists, because a lot of folks on YouTube take lists that are already, all the data is configured, it's put in a list, and then people review it, and that's great. We're still using one of those lists because we still use Cover Price's list. But it is 1 week later, and I actually go into the data as of today and crunch data to see what the books have done since they made the list. So it really gives you guys a different perspective. And we got 3 interesting books that I'm ready to talk about.
We sure do. But before we get into those 3 interesting books, we're going to talk about the top 10 list. And here it is right now. At number 10, we have Black, number 1. At number 9, we have Star Wars, War of the Bounty Hunters, Jabba the Hutt, number 1, the first appearance of Deva Lampop. I do like this cover. I do like this character. Number 8, we have Marvel Point 1, first Sam Alexander. Number 7, we have Detective Comics, number 647, the first appearance of Stephanie Brown with cameo appearance of, spoiler. At number 6, we have Nova, number 1. At number 5, Moon Knight, number 1. By the way, these are the first series of those characters. Just want to throw that out there. At number 4, we have Amazing Spider-Man. Number 3, 1 in 25, Sandoval variant. Number 3, we have Spider-Man. Number 93, the first appearance of Ben Reilly as Chasm. At number 2, we have Amazing Spider-Man. Number 3, that Gleason variant. Gleason just crushing these variants, just crushing it. And at number 1, we have Batman Beyond, The White Knight. This features the first appearance of a new Robin. That was a hot book. I think it's cooling off, but let's see. Maybe it'll be on Chris's one of Chris's 3 most interesting books off the list. Chris, it's now time for you to just get into it. What do we got here, man?
All right, so folks, I do want to make note of something before we get into the top 3. Detective Comics number 647. This has gotten hot because of the Stephanie Brown, Batgirl for the HBO Max, but this is the first appearance of Stephanie Brown. Now, there is controversy around this issue, 647 and 648. All right, so I just want to let you guys know that this book is indeed the first appearance of Stephanie Brown. She is within the book. We get to know her by name. She's a part of the book. But what's questionable is that she shows up as spoiler. And most people state this book to be the first full appearance of spoiler, when in all honesty, it is truly a cameo. And I won't get into more of that, but I do want to let everyone know, because I think it's important when people are looking at 647 and 648 that, guys, go read your books. Even if you don't own the book, go spend a couple dollars to get the digital version, download it, read your books, make the decision for yourself. I think both books have cotton heat because of the hype around it, but just be very careful. And I want you guys to be educated to make the right decisions on what books work for you. So just throwing that out there.
I have something I need to admit to. I can't go on any further on the show. I have one person I want to drive crazy in our audience, and his name is Mark Lineker. And I called the chasm instead of obviously chasm or whatever. I knew that, man. I totally knew that. At least 4 column of YouTubers analysis, and it makes me crazy. That's what I knew too. Actually, I didn't know that. Is it chasm? Really? Is that really how you spell that? It looks like chat. I don't know. Anyways, just wanted to point that out. All right, Chris, let's see. What are your give us your first book off this list? What do we got? Props or flops?
All right. My number 3, Star Wars, War of the Bounty Hunters.
Told you I like this book.
Jabba the Hutt. Yeah. Great cover, right? With Star Wars, always. Jabba the Hutt, number 1. This right here is the first full appearance of Deva Lumpop, who is a bounty hunter. What have we been saying about Star Wars for a very long time, guys? People are on these characters and on these books, but let's look at the numbers. So when it made the list this last Monday, 144% upward trend in sales. Now, when it made that list on Monday, the high 9.8 sale was $100. Now, going into sales from this week and numbers from this week, it was a little easy for me to compute because guess what? There was no other sales. So not much going on with this book on the market in terms of what's available in a graded copy. Obviously, this is a newer book. It came out last year. But let's look at some raw. So when it made the list a week ago, sitting at about a $12 raw. This week, $13. So it's sitting right about there at that same price point. What do I think of this book, props or flops? I'm going to come straight out and straightforward and say it, folks. I give this book props all day long. Look, this is something that I like to see when a book gets hot. There's a first appearance of a character, which is valid when it comes to anything Star Wars right now. There's a lot of hype around it. I think what they're doing with the comic books, although I had a little bit of issues, or I'm having a little bit of issues with the standard Star Wars Marvel Volume 2. Actually, it's the Volume 3 run. It's a little dry, but overall, Jeff and I, we were talking early in the show about how there's a lot of great runs right now in what they're doing. So these characters can play very well just in the stories alone, but then we know what they're doing with the expanded live action universe. So what I like about this is there's reason for folks to get hyped about this. And this book is selling units because of speculation, and it's not going crazy in terms of price point. Somebody didn't, there wasn't just like one 9.8 on the market and somebody paid $400 or $500 for it. They saw this book selling for maybe $5, $6. Then we got some hype, and now it's selling for $40, $50 raw. It's selling for $12, $13 average. So it shows me, one, that the market is responding by seeing that there's a lot out there, and we can be patient, and paying $10, $11, $12, $13, $14 is not really a big deal, but it shows that people really want this. And I will say, although I don't know all the details around that 9.8, since there was no sales this week, it's showing me that there's not a lot there. There's not a lot of 9.8s to be purchased. And like I said, for $100, it showed me that like people's emotions weren't just going absolutely nuts, and trying to buy this book and paying some outrageous price. So I like when there's speculation that drives the comic book market. It drives our attention into comic books, and people aren't going absolutely nuts with their pocketbooks. So props all the way.
Well said. Justin, I'm going to go before you because we really didn't have time to give you how we do this. I think you're getting the gist of it right now. But I'm going to go props on this book too. You can find this for cover still out in the wild. No doubt about that. No doubt about that. With that being said, I would pay up to $15 for this book. This book, and I'm going to get lambasted if I'm wrong, but if this is right, this is why I would pay for it. She has ties to the High Republic era as well, apparently. She is going to be like, they've been kind of hinting that she will be a major player going forward. Not a bad book to have. This is non-ratio first cover appearance as well for this character. This is cover B, I do believe. That is my opinion. Justin, your thoughts? You're on mute. You're the one with the technical difficulties now.
Just testing you, Jeff. Just testing you. I don't really have a thought on this. I don't know much about it. I don't follow a lot of the current Star Wars stuff at the moment. But I will say I do feel like I have recently seen that. Like literally like a day or two ago at a shop. So to your point of them still being out there in the wild, like that.
Definitely out there in the wild.
Yeah.
If you see them for cover, it's not a bad bet to pick it up. No, there's no guarantee here. Chris and Aaron are like, this is the next Miles Morales. That's not the case.
Retire today.
Right, exactly. But I think it's a good bet to pick up and could appreciate over time if that's something you're looking for. All right, Chris, that's a good props in my opinion. I wholeheartedly agree with you.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, your second most interesting book of the week on this list, props or flops? What do you got?
All right, number 2, got to go with some Moon Knight.
Boom.
2 episodes in, Moon Knight number 1. This book actually has a lot going for it, folks, as well as being the first solo ongoing title of Moon Knight. It's also the first appearance of Khonshu and Bushman, and it's also the origin of Moon Knight. So there's a lot here in this book. So let's look at what this book did. 105% upward trend in sales, and when it hit the top 10 last week, it had a high 9.8 of $800. All right.
Woo.
So this is how we're going to look at this, folks, when looking at the graded books. This week's high 9.8 was $1,399. But that was a newsstand. And I'm going to point that out for a reason, which we're going to get into. But there was a high 9.8 sale that was a direct this week for $960. So when we compare the 800 and the 960, that's where I got the 20% increase. I didn't want to use the newsstand. So let's just look at directs. 800 to 960, it's a 20% increase in value, okay? We're going to come back to this newsstand issue, but let's look at the average raws. So last week when it hit the top 10, average raw in about $80. And like I always say, take average raw with a grain of salt, because it's the average of all sales, no matter their grade, because they're raw, divided by the units sold, and you get this price. This week, average raw was 84. So, it averages a few dollars more. I'm sticking with the fact that this book is just moving around that same price point, which is very healthy. Now, let's go back and look at this $13.99, 9.8 newsstand. So this book came out in 1980, folks. So on one end, for me, looking at newsstand is irrelevant to me, because in 1980, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but probably about 10% of the market was direct. That means around 90% of the market was newsstand. So in this sale, this $13.99 sale was from eBay, and they had it plastered all up in the title, newsstand. Newsstand. Okay, now here's the thing, though. I will say this, because I've talked about this in videos on my channel where I'm like, newsstand versus direct, does it really matter? Well, it matters later on when the newsstand market becomes very, very slim, a very small percentage of the entire market, right? But does it matter in 1980 when, very few books are actually direct and everything that's out there is newsstand? Well, it might still matter in the perception of the 9.8. So I think that's where these collectors that are like, oh, I'm going to pay a premium for a newsstand, I'm hoping at least it's only for these 9.8s, because it is argued that even though there was much more of the market as newsstands back then, a lot of them were ripped up and sent back, for credit. They were destroyed, and they were handled differently and displayed differently on the newsstand racks and shelves. So they're thinking that getting that 9.8 in a newsstand might be a little bit tougher, though. Still, can that be quantified? I can't. I don't have exact print runs. I don't have exact census counts of newsstand versus direct off the top of my head. But you all should probably do some digging, do your own research to try to find these things out before you go and spend $600 more on a newsstand 9.8 next to a direct. Now, I'm going to tell you guys what I would do personally. If I had the money to buy this book and I said, I don't care about a raw book, I don't care about any other grade, I need this book in a 9.8, CGC 9.8, CBCS 9.8, whatever it may be.
EGS.
Yeah, I don't care. If I had to buy a 9.8 graded copy of this book and it would cost me that much more for a newsstand, no way am I buying the newsstand. I'm buying the direct all day long. So that's just me. So again, questionable when it comes to paying that much for a 1980s newsstand. But let's get to the bulk of this, guys. Props or flops for me on this book. I got to give this book props. I have to give this book props because at the end of the day, look, we're 2 episodes into Moon Knight. You know, and I know it's not like a movie where you go to the movie theater, you sit and you watch the movie, and then you leave. And then once you're done watching that movie, maybe your perceptions change about how you feel about the books relating to that movie. I mean, who knows? When the Moon Knight series is over, maybe people will be sour and disappointed and be like, whatever, I don't care about Moon Knight anymore. Maybe right now they're just riding the waves of the first couple of episodes. But we already got a taste of it. And the fact that this book is on the market and still moving units proves that people are watching the show and they are loving it. And that is a good thing. And I think Justin was saying earlier in the show too, when we were just talking about his thoughts on the Moon Knight show, as somebody that didn't really read this character, wasn't really into this character, you know, we're enjoying the show and it can take us back to the comic books, not just for investment purposes, but for reading purposes. So don't sleep on this book. I know Moon Knight has his big first appearance in Werewolf by Night 32, which in my humble opinion is absolutely a blue chip key, one of the top Bronze Age blue chip keys that exist. We know, you know, he has his first, you know, solo story, but for being jam-packed with the first solo ongoing title, the first appearance of Khonshu, which is very obviously important to the character of Moon Knight, and the origin, don't sleep on this book. I think this book has 100% solid long-term value, and long-term return on investment is going to be, should I say massive? I'm going to say massive. I really do. I think this book is going to hold.
Justin, your thoughts, props or flops, Moon Knight #1.
Yeah. So 2 things. First, Chris, I like that you pointed out the whole debacle between the newsstands and the direct editions. And I know I've heard you talk a lot about them before, as well as others. And it cracks me up when I see comic books, even comic books before 79, you know, where I guess it initially like launched, where there was a difference with direct, and people really highlighting newsstand on books even prior to that. So anyways, so yeah, with this, I would give it props. I bought this book like a year and a half ago, I remember, off of eBay randomly. Again, still knew nothing about it, and kind of, I think maybe it was like an announcement or something. So I'm like, it looks cool. It's not the first appearance, but it's like this other thing. So all right, let's, you know, give this a shot. I just found a really good deal for it too, is the other thing. So just in like auctions for eBay. So which I don't normally do a lot of eBay anymore, but so yeah, I got it for like $40. So I would say, I could definitely see this, especially as we mentioned before. Like, I think that this show is going to pick up more and more and more, and I hope it does. I mean, I'm rooting for it, and so with that, I hope the popularity of it and the hype continues to grow.
Absolutely. Before I get into my opinion, Fight the Good Fight brings up a good point. The facsimile, did I get that word right? I always pronounce it incorrectly. Edition's coming up on FOC, I think. It is coming up. And guys, at these times when these books come out like this format, people try to cheat the system and play it off like it's the original issue, and people pay hundreds of dollars. If it looks too good to be true, it is too good to be true. So just be careful out there, because it is coming. I got to go props on this book too. Here's the deal. This is a character that had a massive cult following, by massive, an intense cult following before the show. Right. Chris, myself, and Justin have been collecting comics for a very long time. We like to think we know a lot about comics. I have never been into this character. I picked up maybe a couple issues in the 90s. I didn't know much about it. I picked up this book as well for way less than it's going for now, a while back. I still think this is a good book to buy. It's a character that, again, has the potential to have massive appeal, and I got to give it props to. The show is not going to hurt this character. Also on top of the fact that this art, the art on this run, Bill Sienkiewicz is an icon as well, so that can't hurt. There's a lot going on. First appearance of Khonshu, first appearance of Bushmaster. I really think it's the way to go. I have no doubt. You see it for a reasonable price, I jump on it. I wouldn't pay $1,400 or whatever for a 9.8. And heed what Chris says in terms of the direct versus newsstand. But just keep that in mind. All right, Chris, your third book off this list. What do we got? Do we got props or do we got flops?
All right. Yeah. Have we done? We haven't had a week yet where it's been all props or all flops.
No, we have not.
So we'll see what happens with the number one book here. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. Jeff, I know you are too. I had to go with some Spidey love. My number one pick is Amazing Spider-Man number 93. So, folks, so we had the 1 in 25 incentive variant. We had the Gleason variant. And we had the standard cover A making the list. And I've said this multiple times over the last couple of months. I'm still a few issues behind. I'm not here yet. I'm on issue 85, I believe, in terms of my reading. But I am just absolutely bored. I don't care. I'm like, I don't care about, I'm sorry. It's like Ben Reilly. I was never a Ben Reilly hater. I know there's a lot of diehard Ben Reilly fans out there. I wasn't even, a lot of people hate the original Clone Saga. I thought it was decent, even though then it dragged a bit much. But I can't get behind what they're doing with this character because I can't follow it anymore. They killed him how many times? He came back as a bad guy that was trying to rule the world. I don't even, it made no, the clone conspiracy made absolutely no freaking sense to me about why he was acting the way he did. And now all of a sudden he's back again. I don't even know how he came back. And now he's supposedly a new character, and it's just like I said, I haven't read it yet. So, guys, I may be foreshadowing.
Yeah, you definitely.
What I'm gonna get for this book. I don't know. I might surprise you though, because we got to look at the numbers. Still, we got to look at the numbers. 146% upward trend in sales. When it hit the top 10, it was averaging $20 raw. And of course, no books no graded books on the census or for sale here with this brand new book. This week's average raw was $12. That's a 40% decrease in value. Ben Reilly, Scarlet Spider, trademark Spider-Man, chasm, whatever you want to call them. This is a huge flops for me all the way. And I hate to say it as a Spider-Man fan, and I'm not even doing this to hate on Ben Reilly. I think it's how they're handling Ben Reilly. First off, when this Beyond tie-in started happening, they were announcing that Ben Reilly was getting his own run. I was like, okay, they're gonna do like maybe 3, maybe 6 at the most, because we know that like sometimes the standard a story arc, standard is like 6, 3 to 6, depending. It has been going on for how many issues now? This Beyond, where it's not about Peter Parker. It's about Ben Reilly as Spider-Man. And not only is it the main issues that come out twice monthly, but it's all the 98 or 89 point beyond. Then there's 90 point beyond. So now they have the 2 issues every month of Amazing Spider-Man. And then you're throwing out an extra issue or 2. You got like 4 issues coming out a month about Amazing Spider-Man, and it's not even about Amazing Spider-Man. It's about Ben Reilly coming back from the dead for the 24,000th time. Oh my God. I'm like, get on with this. So what I thought they were doing was setting up Ben Reilly to come back to give him his own comic book. And that's what I'm saying. Okay. So Peter's going to be in a coma for a few issues, and then he's going to come back, and then Ben's going to go, take over. And I guess it's finally happening now, finally, with the renumbering. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not into it from a story perspective, but that's just me. But when you talk about an investment perspective, and a year from now, or 2 years from now, especially 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when we're all senile, like I said, chasm, spasm, chasm, kafathom, nobody's going to know who the hell we're even talking about. So these guys, and Jeff, I know we normally say we don't encourage you to buy or not to buy. We speak our personal opinions. We provide facts and data and sales data and all this stuff. And you guys do what you want to do, whatever makes you happy. But hey, look, I guess I'll kind of say that again. If it's spending $20, $30 on this book makes you happy, fine. But gosh darn it, I think I personally would rather watch a $20 bill burn. Like, I'd rather take this jar of bottle caps right here, put a $20 bill in it, and just like drop a match in there and watch it burn, because fire's fun to watch. I think I would rather do that than pay $20 for this book, even though I own the book, because God damn it, as a Spider-Man fan, I'm still freaking reading it.
All right, Justin, it's on you, man. What do you got? Your thoughts?
That was fantastic, Chris.
I really want. I mean, you can't really top. I'd rather see a $20 bill burn than buy this book.
This is what I love. I've always told you this, Chris. Your passion, love your passion, man. I'm with you. I don't follow a lot of the Spider-Man stuff right now. I haven't never really read the current runs since I've been collecting in my short while of collecting. But I will say I would not spend that kind of money on that book. If I don't know, if someone was telling me to check it out or whatever, I would maybe spend the $5 to see what it's about or whatever. But it would just be to read mainly. So, but other than that, yeah, I'm not really. So I guess that'd be a flop that I'd be giving it. So I'm with you, Chris.
I've heard nothing but shit about this whole run, and we're at issue 93. $20 to $12. Honestly, you're right. Ben Reilly has been a few other things too in Marvel, right? Am I right? Like it's just like I gotta give it flops as well. I got to give it flops. I'm not buying into it. As we said, buy what you want, buy what you like. If you feel like it's worth it to you, don't let, those are our opinions. Hey, they're rebooting it. There's going to be a new #1 for Amazing Spider-Man in a few months. Let's just wipe our hands clean of this.
Look, it's been, Dan Slott is not a bad writer. He's not. He's got some good story arcs.
Even Slott though.
No. I'm making a point.
Sorry for yelling at you.
Hold tight. But I have been waiting over 14 years. That's my point, Jeff. Since Dan Slott took over, since Brand New Day, I've been waiting 14 years for freaking Spider-Man to finally do something that, in my humble opinion, matters or has substance or really carries on and moves the character forward. It's been that long. So I am just praying that this new reissuing, sending it back to #1 again. God, Marvel, please. 14 years, I can't do it anymore. That's all.